Let me ask you something before we begin. Have you ever started something with excitement and then slowly lost that excitement? Maybe it was learning English. Maybe it was a dream. Maybe it was a goal you promised yourself you would finish. At first, everything felt possible. You were motivated. You were hopeful. But then reality arrived. You made mistakes. Progress felt slow. Other people seemed better than you. And one quiet day, without making a big decision, you stopped trying. If that sounds familiar, stay with me. Because today's episode is not just about English. It's about something deeper. Welcome to the English Daily Podcast, a place where we don't rush learning, where we don't pretend growth is easy, and where we believe that small daily effort changes lives. Today's topic is learn English through a motivational story. Never give up. And this topic matters because giving up is often invisible. People don't always quit loudly. They don't say, "I quit." They simply stop practicing, stop believing, stop trying. And today we're going to talk about why that happens and how to stop it. I'm joined by a special guest today. She is someone who struggled with English, doubted herself, and almost quit, but didn't. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm really glad to be here.
We're glad to have you. And before we go deeper, I want to explain something to our listeners. This podcast is designed for learning English naturally. So if you hear repetition, that's intentional. If we explain ideas slowly, that's intentional. We want you to understand language and meaning at the same time. Now, let's begin with a simple but important question. When you were learning English in the beginning, how did it feel?
Honestly, it felt overwhelming. Everything felt difficult. The pronunciation was strange, the words didn't sound like they were written, grammar rules felt endless, and the worst part was speaking.
Let's pause here. For listeners, overwhelming means too much to handle, too many things at once. That's exactly how many English learners feel. So tell us, what made speaking so difficult for you?
Fear. Fear of making mistakes. Fear of sounding stupid. Fear of being judged. Every time I wanted to speak, my mind said, "What if I'm wrong?"
That fear is powerful. And it's important to say this clearly. Fear does not mean you are weak. Fear means you care. But if fear controls your actions, it stops growth. What did that fear lead to?
Silence. I stopped volunteering answers in class. I avoided conversations. I memorized grammar, but I didn't use English. Slowly, I created a belief about myself.
A belief?
Yes, I believed I'm bad at English.
That sentence is dangerous because when you believe something long enough, your actions start to follow it. Listeners, this is very important. Skills grow with practice, but beliefs grow with repetition. And negative beliefs are often louder than reality. So what happened next?
I passed exams, but I didn't improve. I survived English, but I didn't own it. And after school, when English became important for jobs and confidence, I realized something painful. I hadn't failed English, I had quit English.
That realization can hurt because failure feels external, but quitting feels personal. How did that make you feel?
Ashamed. I thought, why didn't I try harder? Why did I give up so early? But instead of starting again, I told myself something even worse.
What was that?
It's too late now.
Let's stop again. Listeners, it's too late is one of the most common lies people believe. Too late to learn, too late to improve, too late to change. But language doesn't have an age limit. Confidence doesn't have an expiration date. So tell me, what changed that belief for you?
It wasn't something big, it wasn't a dramatic moment. It was something simple.
Those are often the most powerful moments. What happened?
I was sitting alone in a cafe. I wasn't studying, I wasn't planning anything, and I overheard a conversation in English. Two people were talking. Their English wasn't perfect, they made grammar mistakes, their accents were strong, but they were speaking confidently, naturally, without fear.
And what did you realize in that moment?
That fluency is not perfection, it's courage. They weren't better than me, they were just braver than me.
That realization is the beginning of never give up. Not talent, not intelligence, consistency and courage. What decision did you make that day?
I decided to stop waiting to feel ready. I decided to start small. Not an hour a day, not big promises, just one promise. I will not quit again.
That sentence matters. Not, I will be fluent, not, I will be perfect. I will not quit. Listeners, this is a mindset shift. Goals can feel far away, but commitment is daily. And this is where our motivational story truly begins. In part 1, we talked about fear. Fear of mistakes, fear of judgment, fear of starting again. Now in part 2, we move forward. This is where struggle becomes action. You were sitting in that cafe. You heard imperfect English, but confident English. That moment changed your thinking. Tell us, what happened inside your mind after that?
At first, I didn't feel motivated. I felt exposed. I thought, if they can speak like that, why can't I? But instead of feeling inspired immediately, I felt uncomfortable. And that discomfort stayed with me for days.
That's important. Many people think motivation feels good from the beginning, but often it starts as discomfort. Discomfort means something inside you wants change. So how did you turn discomfort into action?
I stopped making excuses. I had excuses ready. I'm too busy, I'm too old, I don't have good memory. But I realized something. If I keep these excuses, nothing will change. So I made a rule.
A rule?
Yes, a very small rule. No 0 days.
That's powerful. Listeners, no 0 days means you do something every day, even if it's small. What did something mean for you?
Sometimes it was just 5 minutes, listening to a short English story, repeating one sentence out loud, learning 5 words and using them in a sentence. I stopped asking, is this enough? I started asking, is this consistent?
That question changes everything because growth doesn't come from intensity, it comes from continuity. But let's be honest, the beginning is often the hardest part. What was difficult during those early days?
Everything. Pronunciation felt awkward. I spoke slowly. I forgot words. And the biggest challenge was my inner voice.
Your inner voice?
Yes. It kept saying, you sound stupid. You're too slow. Others are better than you. That voice was louder than reality.
This is something many learners experience. Listeners, that voice is not truth, it's habit. So how did you deal with it?
I didn't fight it. I talked back to it, calmly. When it said, you're bad at English, I replied, I'm learning. When it said, you're making mistakes, I replied, that's practice.
That's an advanced skill, self-talk. Not positive lies, realistic encouragement. What happened after a few weeks of this routine?
Something very quiet, but powerful. I stopped being afraid of English. Not confident yet, but not scared.
That's a big step. Fear disappearing is often more important than confidence appearing. Did you notice any real changes in your ability?
Yes, slowly. I understood more when listening. I recognized words in movies. I didn't panic when someone spoke English. One day, something unexpected happened.
Tell us.
A tourist asked me a question in English. Normally, I would freeze, smile, say nothing. But that day, I answered. It wasn't perfect, my grammar wasn't correct, but I communicated.
That's a breakthrough moment. Listeners, communication matters more than correctness. How did you feel after that conversation?
Proud. Not because I spoke well, but because I didn't run away. That moment proved something to me.
What did it prove?
That progress is invisible until it suddenly isn't.
That sentence is important. Progress often hides. It grows quietly. Many people quit because they don't see progress even when it's happening. Did everything become easy after that?
No, there were still bad days. Days when I forgot words, days when I felt slow again, days when I wanted fast results.
So what stopped you from quitting again?
Perspective. I stopped asking, why am I not fluent yet? I started asking, am I better than last month? And the answer was always yes.
That's how you win, not by comparing yourself to others, but by comparing yourself to your past self. Listeners, this is a life lesson. Success is personal. Progress is personal. What role did patience play in your journey?
Everything. I accepted that learning English is a long journey, and I made peace with being a beginner again.
That's hard for adults. Children are not ashamed of learning. Adults often are. So tell me, when did you truly believe you would succeed?
When quitting stopped being an option, I didn't say, I'll try. I said, this is part of my life now.
That's commitment, not emotional motivation, but identity. You didn't learn English, you became a learner.
Exactly. And once I accepted that, everything became lighter. Mistakes became lessons. Slow days became normal.
This is where never give up becomes real, not as a slogan, but as a lifestyle. In the next part, we'll step back from the story and talk directly to the listener. We'll turn this journey into clear lessons for learning English and life. Stay with us. Welcome back. In part 1, we talked about fear and mindset. In part 2, we followed a real journey, full of struggle, small wins, and persistence. Now, in part 3, we paused the story slightly. This part is about understanding. Understanding why never giving up works. Understanding how to apply it to learning English. We're going to break this into clear lessons. Listeners, this is a good moment to slow down, breathe, and really listen. Let's begin with the first life lesson. Life lesson 1. Progress is often invisible. Many people quit because they believe nothing is happening. They study, they listen, they practice, but they don't feel improvement. Why is that?
Because growth happens quietly. When you learn English, your brain is changing. You are building connections, but you don't notice these changes every day.
Exactly. It's like learning to walk. You don't remember each step, but one day you're walking. Listeners, if you feel stuck, it doesn't mean you are failing. It often means you are in the middle.
And the middle is where most people quit.
English tip 1. Track small proof, not big results. Here's a practical English tip. Instead of asking, "Am I fluent?" ask, "Do I understand more than last month? Can I recognize more words? Do I feel less afraid?" These are signs of progress.
I kept a small notebook. I wrote, "Today I understood one sentence without subtitles." That was enough.
Life lesson 2. Motivation is temporary, discipline is reliable. Let's talk about motivation. Motivation feels good, but it disappears. Discipline continues even when you don't feel good.
On many days, I didn't want to practice English. I was tired, busy, uninterested, but I practiced anyway.
And that's the difference. Successful learners don't feel motivated every day. They show up anyway. English tip 2. Create a non-negotiable minimum. Listeners, this is important. Set a minimum rule. For example, 5 minutes of listening, 3 spoken sentences, 1 short paragraph, even on bad days.
5 minutes keeps the habit alive. Once the habit dies, restarting is much harder.
Life lesson 3. Mistakes are not failure. Avoidance is. Many learners say, "I'm afraid of making mistakes," but mistakes are part of learning.
The real failure is silence. When you don't speak, you don't grow. Every mistake is information.
Listeners, fluent speakers made more mistakes than you. They just didn't quit. English tip 3. Practice speaking imperfectly. You don't need a partner to practice speaking. Speak to yourself. Describe your day. Explain your thoughts.
I talked to myself while walking. It felt strange, but it worked.
Language lives in your mouth, not just in books. Life lesson 4. Comparison kills consistency. Comparison is one of the fastest ways to quit. You see someone fluent and think, I'll never be like them.
But you don't see their past. You only see their result.
Comparison steals focus from your own progress. English tip 4. Compare yourself only to yesterday. Ask, did I practice today? Did I learn one new thing? That's enough.
Your only competition is who you were last week.
Life lesson 5. Identity changes everything. Here's a deep lesson. When you say, I am learning English, you act differently than when you say, I want to learn English.
I stopped seeing English as a subject. It became part of my life.
That shift changes effort into habit. English tip 5. Build English into daily life. Small changes. Phone language in English. English podcasts while walking. Thinking in English for 1 minute.
You don't find time for English, you use time that already exists.
Life lesson 6. Never giving up is a daily decision. Never giving up is not dramatic. It's quiet. It's choosing practice over comfort.
Some days I felt nothing, but I still practiced.
And those are the days that matter most. English tip 6. Stay even when it feels boring. Learning isn't always exciting. Boredom is part of mastery.
Consistency during boredom creates confidence later.
Let's summarize part 3. Never giving up means accepting slow progress, practicing without motivation, making mistakes without shame, avoiding comparison, building identity, not pressure.
And learning English is not a race, it's a relationship.
In the final part, we'll bring everything together. A final story, a final message, and a reminder you might need today. Stay with us. Before we end today's episode, I want to slow everything down. No tips, no techniques, no lessons, just a moment of honesty. If you are listening to this right now, there is a reason. Maybe you feel tired of starting again. Maybe you feel behind. Maybe you feel like English and life are moving faster than you are. If that's you, this part is for you. Let me ask you something. How many times have you almost quit? Not completely, just quietly. You didn't announce it. You didn't make a decision. You just stopped opening the book, stopped listening, stopped believing. That quiet quitting is what steals dreams.
I remember those moments very clearly. Moments when I said, I'll start again tomorrow, but tomorrow didn't come.
Exactly. And tomorrow doesn't disappear loudly. It fades until one day you realize years have passed. But here's the good news. If you are listening now, you haven't quit. You paused, and pauses can end.
Yes, giving up is final. Pausing is not.
Let me tell you a short story. There was a woman who tried to learn English for years. She started many times. She stopped many times. One day, she decided something small. She said, I won't quit anymore, even if I feel slow. She didn't become fluent quickly, but she became consistent. Months later, she spoke. Years later, she taught. That woman didn't win because she was special. She won because she stayed.
That story is very real to me because staying changed my identity. I stopped asking, am I good enough? And started saying, I am still learning.
Listeners, that sentence is powerful. I am still learning. It means I accept mistakes. I accept time. I accept growth. And growth does not need approval. It only needs patience.
I wish I had known earlier that confidence comes after action, not before.
That's a lesson worth repeating. Confidence is not a requirement. It's a result. And every fluent speaker you admire once felt exactly like you feel now. Lost, slow, unsure. They didn't become fluent by believing in themselves. They became fluent by not giving up on themselves.
And I want to say this directly to the listener. If you are struggling with English, you are not failing. You are learning.
And learning is uncomfortable. Growth is uncomfortable. But comfort never creates change. Let me say something clearly. You do not need perfect pronunciation, perfect grammar, perfect confidence. You need continuity. 5 minutes today is stronger than 1 hour once a month.
English doesn't respond to pressure. It responds to patience.
So before we end, I want to leave you with one final reflection. Imagine yourself 1 year from now. Same life, same goals, but one difference. You didn't quit. You practiced a little. You listened often. You spoke bravely. That version of you exists. The only thing separating you from that future is consistency.
And consistency begins with forgiveness. Forgive yourself for past stops. They don't define you.
Exactly. You are not late. You are not slow. You are on your own timeline. This is the English Daily Podcast. If this episode helped you, listen again, speak along, repeat sentences. Make English part of your daily life, not a burden. And remember this always. You don't have to be fast. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to continue.
Never give up.
Never give up. Until next time, keep listening, keep speaking, and keep moving forward.